Welcome back to The Explainer. Okay, today we are diving straight into an absolutely fascinating historical mystery. We're looking at a conqueror who was explicitly named a full century and a half before he ever even took the throne. It's seriously one of the most astonishing intersections of ancient prophetic text and recorded military history. This text, it essentially operates like a message sent across time. It predicts not just the fate of nations, but the specific, seemingly impossible tactical maneuvers of a king who literally didn't exist yet.
Just imagine opening an ancient time capsule. Think of it kind of like a letter handed to a kid with strict instructions. Do not open until your 16th birthday. That is exactly how this text functions. It's a letter written to a future generation of captives. But it doesn't just promise them eventual freedom, no. It contains the exact name of their future deliverer and outlines a totally wild military strategy that would bring an absolutely impenetrable empire right to its knees.
Now, to really grasp the sheer magnitude of this, we have to understand the stunning chronological gap we're dealing with here. The prophet Isaiah recorded this around 700 BC. But get this, the people he's writing to wouldn't actually be taken into Babylonian captivity until roughly 586 BC. And the man he names as their deliverer, Cyrus, well, he wouldn't even ascend the throne of the Medes and Persians until 550 BC. So we are talking about a nearly 150-year gap between the penning of the text and the actual rise of the king. It's wild.
So Isaiah chapter 44 acts as this prophetic letter directed straight to those future Jews who would find themselves sitting in Babylonian captivity. The core message is deeply reassuring. It's basically saying, hey, I haven't forgotten you. But it comes with this really urgent warning not to fall back into the idol worship of the culture surrounding them. They might be stuck in Babylon right now, but they need to look forward to the day a very specific, designated shepherd is going to come and release them.
To establish exactly why they should trust this incredibly distant promise, the text sets up this concept of ultimate authority over history. In the 7th verse of the chapter, it essentially issues a massive challenge. Who else can declare the future and set historical events in order before they even happen? The claim here is profound. It's stating that the defining characteristic of the divine is the ability to literally map out history long before it unfolds.
The absolutely crucial point here is that throughout their history, from Abraham all the way down to Isaiah, this eternal nature is proven by declaring the rise and fall of massive nations like Assyria, Babylon, and Persia before any of it actually happens. It's essentially an open challenge to any man-made idol to step up and try to do the same thing.
Which brings us to a rather sharp, almost satirical critique within the text. It describes a man cutting down a tree, burning half of it to stay warm, and then, with the exact same wood, mind you, making a god and worshiping it. The author is really highlighting the stark, almost comical contrast here between an eternal power that ordains centuries of history and the absolute, complete vanity of a wooden idol. I mean, just think about the logical absurdity. Frankly, the stupidity being outlined here. A guy plants a tree, waits years and years for it to grow, and chops it down. He uses half of it for a barbecue to bake his bread and keep his hands warm. And then he takes the leftover stump, carves a face into it, and seriously prays to it for deliverance? The text is practically begging the reader, please see the foolishness of bowing down to a block of firewood. So, having totally dismantled the logic of trusting in idols, the text pivots to an incredibly bold promise. It declares that Jerusalem shall be inhabited, and the cities of Judah will be rebuilt. Now remember our timeline here. This is promising the impossible restoration of a city that, at the time of writing, hadn't even been destroyed by Babylon yet. Historically, this specific prophecy absolutely drove scholars and citizens crazy. And why? Well, because for 400 years, the Jews had felt incredibly secure behind Jerusalem's massive walls. Despite all the warfare around them, the idea that Jerusalem could ever actually fall to a pagan nation seemed completely ridiculous. So predicting its utter destruction, followed by a complete resurrection? That was a massive, hard-to-swallow paradigm shift for them. But wait, how exactly would these captive people be freed from a massive fortress like Babylon? Well, the text gives us a huge clue, stating, "To the deep, be dry, and I will dry up thy rivers." And as this prophecy flows right into chapter 45, it even explicitly mentions opening the two-leaved gates. Together, this sets the stage for what is arguably the most legendary, ingenious military strategy of the ancient world. You see, Babylon was surrounded by these supposedly impenetrable walls, but the Euphrates River flowed directly under those walls, right through the absolute center of the city. To conquer it, you didn't go over the walls, you went under them. The strategy was nearly bloodless.
Basically, wait for a massive Babylonian festival, secretly divert the river using dams, and just march your army straight down the muddy riverbed. And because of the festival, the internal river gates, those exact two-leaved gates prophesied in chapter 45, were carelessly left wide open by the revelers.
And we know for sure this isn't just some biblical allegory, it is hard historical fact. The ancient Greek historian Xenophon completely corroborates this entire event. He recorded that the attacking general literally waited for the cover of dark during a massive Babylonian feast, opened the dikes to divert the Euphrates into a totally different channel, and simply slipped his troops right into the city via the shallow riverbed. Boom, they're in.
Xenophon's account perfectly matches the scriptural record of a city caught completely off guard. He actually recorded the general's own address to his troops right before the infiltration. He told them, "Let us go against them. Many of them are asleep, many of them are intoxicated, and all of them are unfit for battle." Herodotus, another extremely famous historian, entirely agrees. The city was taken while the citizens were essentially just partying the night away.
Okay, so who was this brilliant general? Well, this is where the time capsule truly opens up. The ancient text explicitly states, "That saith of Cyrus, he is my shepherd, and shall perform all my pleasure." This is the very first time Cyrus is named by Isaiah. And as we move into chapter 45, he's actually called the Lord's Anointed, which, by the way, is a stunning title for a non-Jewish Persian king, clearly designating him as the chosen instrument to liberate Israel. As historical scholars like Albert Barnes point out, it's absolutely staggering to see a specific king named nearly 150 years before he even took the throne. The name Cyrus, or Koresh in Hebrew, translates to the sun in Persian. He would eventually go on to become the celebrated king of the Medes and Persians, acting as the exact shepherd appointed to deliver the Jewish people from their bondage. And history completely confirms the absolute fulfillment of this astonishing prophecy. In the historical record of Ezra, we see the decree straight from the king's mouth. "Thus saith Cyrus king of Persia, he hath charged me to build him an house at Jerusalem." Once in power, Cyrus did exactly what was prophesied centuries prior. He freed the captives and commanded the rebuilding of the temple, laying its very foundations just as the text predicted. As we wrap up this explainer and look at this incredibly precise alignment of ancient prophetic text and recorded military history, we're really left to ponder the challenge presented by the author. We have to ask ourselves the exact same piercing question posed to those ancient idol makers. Is there not a lie in my right hand? Basically, are we going to trust in the fragile, temporary things we create with our own hands? Or is there a higher order, a power genuinely capable of naming kings, parting rivers, and declaring history centuries before it ever happens? Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive. Keep questioning, keep learning, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.